All right, it's time to get started. It's 9 o'clock on Monday, December 14th. I'll call to order the Glynn County Board of Commissioner Personnel Committee meeting for this day. First item on the agenda is approval of our November 30 meeting minutes. Ms. Ora, was there anything of concern or question in that document?
No, sir. The minutes reflect what happened at that meeting. It was a very short meeting.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve then, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Absent that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The minutes are approved. The second item on the agenda is to consider approving a one-time cost of living adjustment for county employees in December 2020 in the gross amount of $1,225 each, and for part-time county employees in the gross amount of $888 each. Mr. Hours.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, good morning. As you know, this matter was brought to the Finance Committee last week for discussion. Commissioner Booker had asked about this, and we brought this matter to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee did support the matter, but requested that it be taken to the full board to discuss. And then the fact that you were having a personnel committee meeting this morning, I talked to the chairman and suggested that you consider this item since it does have to deal with employees. Last week, the request was made fairly quickly, so thanks to Ms. Munson, she gathered information fairly quickly, but some of the details had not been worked out. One of the details was the part-time employees. And so, what's before you today for consideration is a one-time payment. You can call it cost of living adjustment. State law does not allow for local governments to give employees bonuses. So, this is not a bonus. We don't call it that. Some people may have said that, but it's, technically not a bonus. It's a one-time cost of living adjustment. About 8 years ago, actually about 9 years ago, the county did this as well. So this is not a first time, matter for the county to consider. Back in 2011, I believe in 2012, a one-time cost of living adjustment was given to employees. The benefit then of the one-time cost of living adjustment was it didn't add to the ongoing operational costs. This money will be taken from fund balance if approved, and it doesn't add to next year's budget. And that was what happened back in 2011, 2012. And what's before you today, the recommendation is, again, a one-time where they would receive a check for the entire amount and it would not increase their pay. This would be for regular full-time and part-time county employees. Does not include seasonal workers, temporary workers, elected officials, poll workers, or supplemental workers. It's just for normal part-time and county employees. As you know, because back in March when we had to go back to the drawing board and redo the budget because of COVID-19, we really weren't sure how this year would play out. Cost of living adjustment or merit increase was included, as well as career track or reclassification. So there were no employee pay increases included in this year's budget. However, now that we're further down the road, as you know from Ms. Munson's presentation a couple weeks ago to your Board of Commissioners meeting, we finished the year very, very well. Our unassigned fund balance is now at $24.8 million. And then the fund balances and the other funds increase as well. And then, with the additional CARES Act money that will go on the balance sheet for this year, the county is in very good financial condition. And so this, as the board has always supported the employees because you recognize employees are the county's #1 asset. And so what's before you today is to provide full-time employees a gross amount of $1,225. And the significance of that is when it was talked about $1,000 for employees, well, you know, if the gross amount's $1,000, they're actually going to get less than that. So if the goal is for employees to take home $1,000, you have to ramp it up some for the tax issues. And so that's the significance of the $1,225. And then most part-time employees work 29 hours per week. That equates to 72.5%, you know, of a full-time week. And so therefore that amount grossed up is $888. Hopefully the net will be around $725. So that's what's before you today. In your package, you not only have the memo from Ms. Munson, but you also have a breakdown of the amounts per fund. You know, the general fund is $707,000, and you know, if you would like for me to, I can go down the list, but they're labeled. I appreciate Ms. Munson labeling this because I can get some of the big funds, but some of these little ones, I don't have the numbers memorized like she does. But that's what's before you. Ms. Reed and Ms. Munson are on the call. Ms. Dunnigan's on the call, myself, and you know, we'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
So just one quick question. You mentioned that the Finance Committee, where this was first discussed, was in favor of it, but declined to take a vote because they wanted the BOC to discuss it. But every item that's ever on the agenda of the Finance Committee always comes to the BOC's formal Thursday night meeting, and any one of those can be pulled for discussion. I'm just surprised that a vote wasn't taken. What am I missing?
I thought they did vote.
They did not.
Okay.
So I believe that their actual vote was to forward it to the BOC for discussion. So they verbally said they were in favor of it, but there was not a vote of yes. It was just a vote to forward it to the BOC for discussion.
And that's the point I just made. And I'm wondering if there's some reason for that I'm missing, because everything that the Finance Committee does, as you know, Ms. Munson, goes to the BOC, and any of those items can be pulled. It's a small point, but you know, this is going to be generating some controversy, and already has generated some controversy. But that being said, I'm 100% behind the effort as proposed. So any further discussion amongst the commissioners, or any questions for Ms. Reed or Dunnigan or Ms. Munson, Mr. Hours?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions.
No, I mean, it is what it is. We either gonna do it or not. So, I mean, I am, as you mentioned, I can't help but think there's going to definitely be some controversy on this thing, and I just want to make sure we got everything justified here like it should be. And I mean, I'm all for doing everything we can for the employees. Then I'm sure there's going to be some feedback here as to the whys and the why not. So just want to make sure we got all that part lined up, and that the folks understand exactly what this represents and how it's being applied, I guess you'd say. Thank you.
Well, one issue that I appreciated in discussions is that the lowest salaried employees, in all likelihood, need this additional pay in a far greater manner than the highest level employee salaried. So I think that's one reason that I am supportive of the grossing up the $1,000 and making this a dollar sum cost of living one-time adjustment for 2020 as opposed to a typical 3% cost of living adjustment based on salary, where those that are the lowest salary workers would get the least amount. So again, I'm entirely supportive of the effort.
And Mr. Chairman, I would like to also point out that as we give out this one-time cost of living adjustment, a lot of this money is going to be spent in our local community as they prepare for Christmas and that kind of thing, and would certainly think that it would have a trickle-down effect to our local economy, and would like to encourage our employees to for the money of this that they're going to spend, that they would spend it locally, that we could as a community benefit. So.
That's a very good point, and I suspect you're entirely correct in your assessment.
So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be ready to make a motion that we approve this and pass it to the Board of Commissioners for the regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, here a motion and a second. Any further discussion? We have a motion in front of us to approve this as the Personnel Committee. So take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous, 3-0 vote in favor of it for the Personnel Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, that's great. Let's see if my agenda is still on my phone. Here we go. Great. Item number 3. Review the contract options for the 401A defined contribution plan and recommend an option to the Board of Commissioners. As you all know, the other night at our Board of Commissioner meeting, we approved giving the defined contribution management plan to Nationwide, but we were faced with two options, a trust option and a variable annuity option. And Ms. Reed tells me that we have Mr. Ed Emerson on the call today to discuss the whys and wherefores of those two options. So Ed, you have the floor. Thank you.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, basically, there's two options that are available through Nationwide for investment purposes under the plan. So under the plan, we're going to have an investment lineup. And at some point, I assume initially it will start like the 457 lineup or very closely. And eventually over time, I think we'll probably migrate to probably a simpler lineup as most retirement plans do when they get more mature and make it easier for participants to select. Under both options, there's two options. One's called a variable annuity option, and the other is a trust or custodial option. The variable annuity option is what you do currently have with the 457 plan, but this would be a new variable annuity contract, and it's a group annuity contract. And I consider it more of the old school way plans were set up, especially for governmental entities, because of the industry. The players in the industry were Nationwide and Mass Mutual and Valak, and so it was a lot of insurance companies. And historically, insurance companies could really only offer investment products through variable annuity contracts. And over time, that's changed, and they can now offer the same options and more options generally to participants through a trust or custodial agreement arrangement. I would say, and which is our second option. The second option being just a traditional trust custodial arrangement with Nationwide. There are two, I guess, agreements that have to be signed versus one, two with respect to the trust, one with respect to the variable annuity contract. But we have negotiated, in-house city council has negotiated with my assistance with Nationwide on the trust option. So we had room to negotiate there. The agreement, the variable annuity contract being approved by the state of Georgia, there's no negotiation. I mean, it's variable. It is what it is. There are some, with the variable annuity contract, there are some, I wouldn't say additional costs, but there are some embedded costs for the investment product, just like any annuity contract. And the main benefit through the variable annuity contract is generally they can offer a stable value fund that produces a higher interest rate than your traditional money markets, which I assume that they would make an offering under that for one of the Nationwide variable annuity products. However, if we wanted to offer that same annuity product under a trust agreement arrangement, you can do a standalone annuity contract for that investment offering. So I just kind of give you this background because I think at the end of the day, my recommendation for you all is to go with the trust custodial arrangement. It's more in line with what most new defined contribution plans are doing, and it's very much aligned with what the traditional retirement plan 401ks that you hear about have. I mean, they have a trust arrangement, not variable annuity arrangements in general. I think it gives you a little bit more flexibility if you ever wanted to change providers, because you don't have to worry about market value adjustments on all the investments, and you don't have to worry about surrender charges. It's much more mobile. And my understanding is there's no additional cost with doing the trust custodial arrangement. So with that being said, I mean, I think it's my recommendation we go in that route. The only thing that I think weighs in favor of the variable annuity contract offering is that's what you currently have with the 457 plan. However, I just don't think the participants won't see much of a difference at all.
Thank you, Ed. That's an excellent summarization. I guess one of the reasons we probably have it for the 457 plan, probably the only option that was available when the 457 plan was put in place. But the three questions I have, if I look at it from the individual employee participating in the defined contribution plan, is there any difference in the fees that will be extracted from their account, in the investment options they have, and the tax implications when they go to withdraw their money at the end of their employment and go into retirement? Any differential between the two plans on those fees, investment options, and tax implications?
No, I don't think there's any difference with respect to a participant individual, what they'll see from a investment standpoint as far as fees go, as far as what the tax implication will be, and their ability to withdraw money down the road will be the same out of any of the options.
And then looking at the entirety of the plan, how about fees in the entirety of the plan?
Yeah, I can't say that there's significant difference in the fees in the entirety of the plan through either option. I think they're about neutral. But there could be, on the variable annuity side, what's called a market value adjustment. If what they're assuming under the annuity contract is much off from the market, there can be sometimes a timing issue with pulling out of the group annuity contract and being considered fully funded. You may have to, your timing may have to be adjusted so that you can it's kind of a difficult concept for me to kind of explain because I haven't had to explain it before, but it's kind of a market adjustment. What you could be trailing the market when you're trying to pull out of a group annuity contract, and you'll have to have a period where you may be waiting for a up to 12 months for where you can pull out all your money out of that group annuity contract. Generally, it's tied to the stable value fund. They're offering a guaranteed rate, but if the market's below that rate, they will restrict the timing of your when you can pull that money out of the stable value fund offering.
Okay.
Which generally won't have that outside the annuity contract offering. So they could have a 12-month, what's called a 12-month put.
Right.
Strict investments for that time period.
Ed, did I hear you say that? Did I hear the word guarantee rate? That was my question going to be. Do any of these plans have a base guarantee rate on them?
I think there's a variable, guaranteed annuity rate option, stable value fund under the 457 plan. Is that correct, Dora?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and that they will have that offering during the 457 plan. I think it's an option to go into the 401A plan, but what have they offered that as one of the investment options, Ora?
Yes, they have. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you know the current
Because
rate?
I would say you're not going to get the same rate under the 401A plan, because the rate you got with the 457 plan is historical, and it's going to be much higher than a new rate on the open market under the new plan. And so you're looking at probably something that's given us a variable, a stable value rate of over 2% under the 457, but it's going to be more like 1% under a 401A.
I suspect that's going to be true, Ed.
Yeah, I think you just have more options, which are 457 with the trust arrangement, than what you will have under the 457 arrangement from a plan sponsor standpoint. Participants really won't see much difference.
Commissioner Neal, you still on the call here?
Yes, sir. I'm still with you.
Any questions?
No, I think he had explained it pretty well. Probably a little bit above my pay grade here for what I'm absorbing here, but I would I guess my only question from a cynical standpoint is to ask Ed which one his company would make the most fees off of, and does that taint his recommendation any? Just as from being fully prudent.
Yeah, I'm a outside legal counsel. I get no fees from Nationwide. I just charge by the hour at Glynn County, so it doesn't matter.
Hourly rate.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Looking out for the county.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Bob, do you have any further questions, Commissioner Coleman?
Well, I'm just curious. I mean, my experience in the annuities and universal life policies and that kind of stuff that most all your insurance companies offer do have that minimum guaranteed rate on it, and I know it's not like it used to be, but I don't know. I feel like that's just something to consider. We got some interest rates today that only the good Lord knows what they're going to be tomorrow. So just something to consider. From my mind, that was the reason for the question. Thank you.
But Ms. Ora, you're on again for my question. If we do take the custodial type trust account option that Ed suggests he would recommend, the individual participant would still have the option to enter into a fixed rate investment for their for their assets, albeit at a rate that Ed cites at about between 1% and 2%, a rather paltry sum right now, but a guaranteed sum. So it would only take you 72 years to double your money at 1%.
That's correct. There is a fixed account.
Good.
I was going to, with the trust, the last part of that contract are the schedule of investments, which is left blank. And with working with Will and with Ed, we were assuming that the initial schedule of investments would be what the lineup that we already have under the 457. And as Ed said, we can change that over time. But just to start out, we would use that same schedule of investments. And there is a fixed account on that.
Sure. So would it be possible for you to add that to your report for the other commissioners for Thursday night?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Mr. Howard, Ms. Munson, Ms. Dunnigan, any further questions of Mr. Ed, who's making an incredible sum at his hourly rate here to be with us?
No, sir, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. The only thing I'd ask Ms. Reed is that we somehow have Mr. Emerson, despite his high hourly rate, fixed in on Thursday night, because I think his words to the other commissioners will be very valuable in getting universal understanding of what we're doing here.
Okay, Ed, are you available Thursday night at 6?
Or thereabouts?
Yes.
Let's see, this Thursday at 6. Yeah, I can be available.
That's okay. There's a fixed account.
Maybe, Ms. Ora, we can talk to Ed further as the time approaches about his schedule, and then have Chairman Browning kind of, if there is a problem with his schedule or issues, we could fit him into the time slot that fits his needs best.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, great. Thanks, Ed. That'd be wonderful.
Sure. And or why don't we just touch base beforehand and see what other information we get from Nationwide? But I think we have just about everything we need. Okay.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Do we need to take a vote on this, Ms. Ora?
Yes, sir.
So we've reviewed the options, and there's a trust plan or a variable annuity option. Do we want to have a motion on either one of those from either of the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I would, after reviewing and hearing the report on both options, I'd make the recommendation that we go with the traditional trust custodial option and bring that to the full commission.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Take a vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3-0 in favor. And item number 4 would designate the items to refer to the Thursday BOC meeting. Let's do both items 2 and 3, please, Ms. Ora.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further to discuss?
No, sir.
Okay, Ora, thanks for putting this together. Great job at a short notice.
Thank you.
All
You're
right,
welcome.
thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right,
Have a good day.
all right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.